and considered separately. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to be heard? I will take a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Commissioner Edelsman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamada,
Yes.
Commissioner Herring,
Yes.
Commissioner Cartsonis,
Yes.
Commissioner Coas,
Yes.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Yes.
Madam Chair Lovelace.
Yes. There are no administrative matters to consider under item 8. That brings us to no matters under item 7. That brings us to item 8, the conduct of the hearing of appeal of discipline for a Torrance police officer. Now is the time, date, and place to hear the appeal of discipline filed by a police officer. The hearing is confidential under Penal Code 832.7 and Copley Press v. Superior Court 39, Cal 4th, 1272, 2006. California Government Code Section 54957B provides that consideration of public employee discipline will be conducted in closed session unless the employee requests to have the hearing in open session. The police officer received their notice of the right to have this hearing in an open session. Counsel for the employee confirmed the request for an open hearing at the pre-hearing conference on July 31st, 2025. This hearing is a continuation of the hearing for Police Officer Julian Vazquez, which will be conducted in open session as requested by the employee. Before we begin the hearing, we will take public comments. Please note, we anticipate this hearing to span multiple hearing nights, and each member of the public will be given only one opportunity to comment on this item. Meaning if you have previously commented, you cannot comment again, and if you comment tonight, you cannot comment on this item at a future hearing date. If there is anyone from the public who would like to be heard, please raise your hand at this time. I see 2 hands raised, so if you would like to approach the podium.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Daniel Behringer, and I'm from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. I was formerly the captain of Lomita Sheriff Station, had the privilege to work there when Julian Vazquez was an Explorer Scout. Remarkable young man. I've known his parents for about 23 years. I worked with his father. I know the way he was raised. I've never seen any issues of integrity or dishonesty. He's worked countless hours in the community in the cities of Lomita, Rolling Hills Estates, Rolling Hills, and Rancho Palos Verdes, volunteering his time, as well as practice training for police tactics when he was an explorer. Won Explorer of the Year that time under my when he was there under my tenure, at least once. I know he had his pilot's license at the age of 15 before he even could drive a car. He could fly a plane. So I just wanted to comment on what a remarkable young man this is, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Pardon my appearance. My name is Ralph Hernandez. Good evening. I'm a retired LA County Sheriff's homicide detective, 33 plus years of experience. I'm here to talk to you about mistakes that officers make. There are mistakes of the mind and mistakes of the heart. Mistakes of the mind are simply that. It is a training issue. The officer didn't know any better. Maybe they weren't trained properly. Mistakes of the heart are different. There are different levels. It's a much larger scale for mistakes of the heart. It can be something as simple as you feel bad for a DUI suspect and you tell him that refusing leads to higher consequences. That's also a training issue, but maybe their heart is in the right or wrong place. You be the judge. In fact, you guys are. The larger scale also goes from as simple as that to something that is so egregious, so malicious, and so intentful that it is in fact deserving of termination. We don't need those types of officers. But alternative discipline is also an option. There are days off. there is written reprimands. You're tasked with not just judging Officer Julian Vazquez's actions, but you're also tasked by judging the actions of the former chief of police, his executives, captains, lieutenants, and IA investigators, and whatever mistakes they may have made. Officers who make mistakes and are taught by them become much more effective. They're an asset to the department. They're now able to mentor less tenured officers. You end up with a much more effective police department doing the right thing the right way. That leads to a much safer city of Torrance. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All parties from the previous hearing dates are present. Police Officer Julian Vazquez is represented by Tom Yu. The Police Department is represented by Nicholas Grether. Formal rules of evidence need not apply. However, the Commission shall exclude incompetent, irrelevant, and immaterial evidence. Any procedural request or motion should have been made before the hearing, but the Commission will consider a request or motion that was not evident until after the hearing has begun. Does either party have a request or a motion? Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
At this time, staff has procedural matters to address.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On March 2nd and March 9th, Madam Chair Lonis was absent. Chair Lonis, were you able to listen to the audio from the March 2nd and March 9th hearings?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any questions from those recordings?
Yes, I do. Very briefly, there was reference made to an Exhibit 9 that was marked by the appellant. I believe that was a PDF by Dr. Christine Haas. I did not have the opportunity to view that as my fellow commissioners did, and I was hoping I could have the opportunity to at least glance at it now.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to also address some of the logistics on the exhibits. As I have it, our next in line should have been exhibit for the appellant, Exhibit D as in David. Is that what, Ms. Cohen, do you have that as the next in line?
So for Exhibit D as in David, that has previously been utilized for the demonstrative exhibit showing the PDF of the cases and the investigating IA personnel.
So this is the question I have. I don't know if we want to do it off the record, but usually demonstrative exhibits do not go back with the commissioners. Do we want that, or are we just marking it? I don't mind either way. So
I will look to our legal counsel, but my understanding is if the parties are in agreement that they're demonstrative, they would just be marked as such. However, we would not want to duplicate the lettering of that. Therefore, while it is a demonstrative exhibit, Exhibit D has then been utilized.
sure.
So a new exhibit would then become Exhibit E. Is that your understanding as well, Mr. Bent?
You put it beautifully. So we use Exhibit D, which regardless of whether it's admitted or not, has been marked, so the next in order would be E.
Very well. So Exhibit E will be Dr. Christina Hall's publication. And then I have another one that I will email council and the commission because I didn't know what the next in order is. That would be an Exhibit F as in Frank. So I will email Exhibit E as in Edward to the commissioner, to Ms. Cohen, and then you'll have a copy of it.
Very good, thank you. My other question concerns podcast that I could listen to. I was just curious as to the date that it was recorded, if that's information you can provide to me.
Yes. That's for Mr. Mitch Tavera.
Correct.
And that podcast was just give me 1 second, I'll tell you the exact date it was recorded. I don't have the exact dates recorded, but I'll get it during the break. I don't want to take up time. And then I'll answer your question after a break, if that's okay with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Those are the questions I had. I would also like to kindly thank staff for providing Exhibit 30 to me earlier.
Thank you, Chair Lonis. Does either party have questions for Chair Lonis?
No.
No.
Thank you both. On March 9th, Commissioner Coas was absent. Commissioner Coas, were you able to listen to the audio from the March 9th hearing?
I was.
And do you have any questions?
I had the same questions as Commissioner Lonis. In my notes, I had that the podcast clip was designated as Exhibit E and the article was Exhibit F, but I can correct my notes if we're doing it back the opposite way.
I can reference the court reporter's minutes as well, so we can provide that clarification.
And I would just like to confirm that I did receive Exhibit 30 as well. So thank you to staff for providing that.
Thank you, Commissioner Coas. Does either party have questions for Commissioner Coas?
No.
Not for me, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. With that, Madam Chair, we can proceed. Oh.
Mr. Yu, in having it pointed out, Exhibit F was used, so the next should be G. So we should keep in line just to maintain the record's accuracy since we did mark exhibits and not.
Thank you. Exhibit F was also demonstrative, correct?
Correct, the pristine hall statement.
Great.
So
we
F,
have-
sorry, Dr. Hall's publication is F, and then I will email Exhibit G as in George, which is the next in order.
Thank you.
We've taken care of all the housekeeping. We can proceed. Ms. Cohen?
Yes, we can proceed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Grether, are you prepared to call a witness?
Yes, the department will call Lieutenant Charles Fischer.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please raise your right hand so that I can swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now pending before the Civil Service Commission? So help you?
I do.
If you would please state and spell your name for the court reporter.
Yeah, Charles Fischer, Charles Fisher.
Thank you. A certified court reporter is taking a verbatim record of the proceedings. This is a gentle reminder to everyone to please pause in between someone talking before you start talking. If two people speak at the same time, it is difficult to differentiate which each person is saying. It is important to have a clean and accurate record, so please keep this in mind during the meeting. If we notice that people are speaking at the same time, myself, staff, or legal counsel for the commission may interject to ensure a clean and accurate record. Mr. Grether, you may begin with your direct examination of this witness.
Thank you. Good evening, Lieutenant Fisher. Where are you currently employed?
With the City of Torrance Police Department
And how long have you been with the police department?
since 2005.
And what is your current role?
I'm currently a lieutenant, assigned as a division commander for our Traffic and Special Events Division.
And how,
The Traffic and Special Events Division? I don't trust this chair. I'll stand up. That's a booby trap. You need me to repeat something? No? Okay.
and how long have you been a lieutenant?
Since 2017.
What was your role in August of 2023?
I was assigned as a watch commander, weekend patrol shift as a lieutenant.
And what was your position? Was that your position through the rest of 2023?
Yes.
And are you aware of an incident involving Officer Vasquez using force in July of 2023?
Yes.
And what was that incident?
It was a felony traffic stop where a use of force occurred. Sergeant Smits responded to the scene, completed an administrative review for that use of force. Sergeant Smits, SCHIMTZ, I believe, responded to the scene, completed an administrative review, which was then forwarded to me for additional review.
And was that how you became aware of the use of force?
I may have been contacted telephonically from Sergeant Smits at the scene. I don't remember that phone call specifically, but ultimately the paperwork was forwarded up to me.
And you mentioned an administrative review. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes, for certain categories of incidents involving patrol officers or any officer really. In this case, a use of force occurred, which requires administrative review by a field sergeant. Field sergeants respond to the scene. They're expected to interview witnesses, secure evidence, ensure medical treatments taking place if needed, and ultimately review policy, look for training deficiencies, for example, equipment deficiencies, etc. Ultimately, they draft a report or a section of that administrative review, which is then forwarded to the lieutenant in this case. Sometime later, but ultimately it came to me.
And does the field sergeant make a determination as to whether the use of force is within policy?
Yes,
And did Sergeant Schmitz make such a finding in this case?
he did.
And do you recall what that finding was?
He concluded that the force used was within policy.
And then you conducted your administrative review next, right?
Correct.
And what did you do in conducting your administrative review?
I reviewed all relevant reports involved with the arrest, the supplemental reports, reviewed the relevant video related to the use of force. Usually review various forms of media, still photographs, video, that sort of thing, from in-car cameras, body-worn cameras, and the like. Review witness statements if applicable, and then review policy and ultimately decide whether the acts from the officers, performance of the officers within policy. And again, almost a second tier of what the sergeant already had done. Look for training avenues, look for problematic equipment, any real way to improve.
And after your review, did you have any concerns?
I did.
And what were those concerns?
My review, I predominantly just reviewed the video. I could see that Officer Vasquez applied pressure to the arrestee's neck, which is a violation of our policy. The video depicted him doing it 2 times, which ultimately triggered me to draft a personnel complaint, write a narrative contrary to Sergeant Smits, where I basically described disagreeing with his conclusion, and then recommended training with our force staff to help alleviate future issues.
If we could pull up, it's Exhibit 7, that PD 2023-009 summary of investigation. Yeah, could we start with page 162? Yes. And Lieutenant Fischer, at least from the top of this page, do you recognize that first page anyway?
Yes, it appears to be the administrative review that I referenced.
And then if we go to page 167. And if we go to the bottom half of that page. There's a section there, Division Commander's Review. And that, if we go then to page 168. that division commander review section?
Yes,
And did you write that?
I did.
And then you include that on the document with Sergeant Smith's review as well?
Correct.
In your review in this case, did the subject complain about being choked?
On video, he yes, verbalized that he had been choked.
And is that something that should generate a personnel complaint?
Not necessarily, no. Not necessarily, no.
And so after your review, you had concerns about, did you have any concerns about violations of policy?
Yes, as I mentioned, the video depicted him putting pressure on the subject's neck 2 times, which is in violation of our policy, as I mentioned there.
And that's there, that referring to policy 300.3.7?
Yes,
And is that a copy of that particular policy there?
I'm sorry, is that a
Sorry.
copy of the policy?
No, it's not a copy. Is that a written out, I guess, a cut and paste copy of the policy?
Yes, it appears so.
And what does 300.3.7, what does it prohibit?
Any force tactic or defense tactic option where direct pressure is applied to the person's trachea or windpipe.
And so then you submitted a personnel complaint?
Yes.
If we could go to page 82 of this document. You could scroll down and then to the next page. And did you recognize that personnel complaint?
Yes.
And is that the personnel complaint you submitted?
Yes.
And then did you have any role in the investigation after that?
I did not.
And Lieutenant Fischer, are employees of the department supposed to review their emails?
Yes.
And are officers expected to abide by policy?
Yes.
And are officers trained on use of force?
Yes.
And are officers trained to apply pressure to officers' necks? Or sorry, suspects' necks?
No.
All right, I have nothing further.
You can just leave that up.
Mr. Yu, go ahead with your cross.
Thank you very much. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
While that's being pulled up, and actually, Ms. Cohen, if you don't mind, can you pull up to page 162? All right. So on page 162, Lieutenant, I want to just draw your attention to a couple of the boxes that counsel was questioning about. First, I want to go into the incident date. The incident date was July 28th, 2023. Is that right?
That sounds correct. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if I understand you correctly, you're the watch commander on shift on July 28th, 2023. Is that right?
If that's the date of that incident, I'd have to verify the date. Is it the 23rd or the 28th? I'm not sure.
Well, I will represent to you that July 28th, 2023 is the incident date at issue in this case.
Okay.
If that's true, which I'm very positive is true,
Yeah.
were you the watch commander on duty that night?
That day, yes.
Okay. And then Sergeant Ryan Schmidt, he would have been your subordinate, correct?
Correct.
In other words, he was the field sergeant on duty that day. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
And if I also understand you correctly, sir, is that Sergeant Schmidt is a supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Because he conducted the administrative review after the use of force incident. Is that right?
He did.
Okay. I'll ask you a little bit more about that. I want you to draw your attention to SB 1421. Do you see that?
You're referencing the section on that form?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, Ms. Cohen, if you can kindly just perhaps highlight the section where it says SB 1421. All right. And you checked no, right?
Sergeant Smith fills out that portion, sir.
Okay. Well, you checked that portion, and you understood that SB 1421 reportable. The answer box was no.
Correct.
And you understand SB 1421 is a mandatory reporting of some sort of public records involving excessive force. Is that right? Is that your
Among
understanding?
other things.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Among other things, but yes, excessive
Right.
force is one.
So one of the requirements on that box is SB 1421 reportable, and that is answered no, correct?
Correct.
So when you reviewed it and and approved it, you knew that this specific mandate, which encompasses excessive force, was answered no.
Yes.
Now, I want to just ask you some other questions concerning this, and specifically, if Ms. Cohen, if you can go to, it's actually 165, which would have been page 4 of 8 of the administrative review. And then on top, do you see that where it says Garcia was booked for, and there's a bunch of PCs? And Ms. Cohen, if you can highlight that. Okay. So in your administrative review, you notated that Mr. Garcia was arrested for various crimes, correct?
Sergeant Smith notated that, but yes,
And you're absolutely right, sir. You adopted, approved, and reviewed what Sergeant Schmidt put, correct?
well, not in its entirety. I had contrary opinions to what it is, but for that section, yes, sir.
Understood. And that section, at least, is 459 is burglary, correct?
Correct.
And Garcia was arrested for 466, which is possession of burglary tools, correct?
Correct.
And he was also arrested for resisting an executive officer, 69 PC, right?
With injury, correct.
With injury of the officers, correct?
Correct.
Garcia was also arrested for a 243B, which is battery on a police officer, correct?
Correct.
And then also for some add charge of 14601, meaning he was driving without a license
Yes.
or suspended license. And you understood, or do you know that Mr. Garcia was actually prosecuted for those specific crimes?
I did not know that.
And you've been a police officer for approximately 21 years, have you not?
Yes, sir.
As a police officer, have you made arrests for suspects who battered other officers or yourself?
Yes.
In your experience and based on your training and your tenure, have you ever heard of an incident where an officer is a victim of a battery on a police officer, but he also engaged in excessive force? Have you ever seen a case like that?
Not firsthand, but I could foresee that situation occurring.
Right. I'm only asking about personal knowledge, Lieutenant.
No specific incident comes to mind. No.
All right. So 21 years on the job, you have never heard of an incident where a police officer is a victim of a battery of a police officer, but also engaged in excessive force. You've never heard of that, correct?
I have heard of those situations. I just haven't firsthand witnessed them or been involved with them.
So you've heard of them, but not personally know of any. Is that right?
I feel like I've been trained in those situations. I feel like I've reviewed videos of some situations similar to that. But in terms of specifics in my personal history, no.
Let me just ask you in a cleaner way. As you stand here before the commission, do you know or can you tell us a single incident where you yourself has personal knowledge whereupon a police officer, doesn't even have to be in Torrance PD, anywhere in the United States of America where a police officer is the victim of a battery on a police officer, but he also engaged in excessive force?
Nothing specific comes to mind, but I can
Thank
think
you.
of numerous examples.
Thank you.
Similar to that.
Now, I want to go into some of the disagreements you have with Sergeant Schmidt, okay?
Sure.
First, I want to ask you about something concerning the personnel complaint that you drafted. And if we can go to page 82, please. All right. And you recognize this page, Lieutenant Fischer?
Yes, sir.
And that is the personnel complaint that you drafted on 11/25/2023. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this document, I want to just kind of go through this a little bit with you. I noticed the date to be November 25, 2023. That's the date that you drafted this allegation. Is that right?
It would appear so. It should be timestamped at the bottom of the form as well.
Okay.
If there's a question to that.
Sure. But my question really isn't about the exact date.
Okay.
I'll be more specific, and if you could scroll down a little bit, please, where it says details of complaint or allegation. Could you please highlight that portion? Details of complaint or allegation. Do you see that? That's highlighted?
Yes.
And that means to you, sir, that when you're looking at a violation of policy, these at this juncture, it's just allegations. Is that right?
Correct.
I mean, you're not telling the commission that on November 25, 2023, or any time close to that date, that my client, for absolute certainty, violated policy. That's not what this document says, correct?
Correct.
You're just saying, hey, on face value, this is what I see, so I'm typing the complaint, and I'm gonna move it to internal affairs. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I would consider that potential misconduct.
Right. I mean, it's allegation, right?
Correct.
Allegation to be investigated. Allegation that could be exonerated.
Yes.
But you're not saying, or are you saying that just because you have an allegation, you should be found guilty or you have violated the allegation? That's not what you're saying, correct?
No, that document is indicative of me concluding that potential misconduct occurred and further investigation is necessary.
Fair enough. Now, I want to ask you about that because I notice you use the word contradiction or disagreement. You clearly disagree with Sergeant Schmidt's own finding. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And can we agree that sometimes supervisors, either lieutenants on lieutenant or captain with a lieutenant or sergeant with a lieutenant, you all just disagree on some things?
Correct.
You can see one thing, say, hey, I see this, but he can say, no, lieutenant, I don't see it.
Yes.
Right? Now, as a lieutenant, I believe you're assigned at some point in your tenure to the Professional Standards Division. Is that right?
It's a different division now, but similar role. It was a personnel division at that time.
At that time, in any event, when you're up there, you're in charge of internal affairs. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And as such, you, I believe, you should have attended some formal training on how to supervise a personnel or internal affairs investigation.
Yes.
And one of the things you were trained in, I believe, was to respect and not violate the 1-year rule.
Correct.
And I'm not asking to form any legal conclusions. I'm just saying, did you receive those training to mean that the date of the incident where a supervisor discovers something to the day that you serve that officer, you have 1 year to do it?
From the date of discovery, not necessarily the date of the incident.
Absolutely. And in this case, can we agree that Sergeant Schmidt discovered this potential misconduct on July 28, 2023?
My interpretation of the law and the word discovery, the word discovery to me is indicative of awareness. I don't think he was aware of that policy violation.
All right. Well, I'm not asking you to conclude in the law. That's my fault. I'll ask you a different way. Okay? When Sergeant Smith conducted the administrative review, you know that he had to look into the incident, correct?
Yes.
He had to look at, for instance, the body-worn camera.
Yes.
He had to, for instance, interview the witnesses.
Yes.
He had to, for instance, take the statements of my client, Officer Vasquez, as to what occurred.
Yes.
And Sergeant Smith had to necessarily review in-car camera, for instance.
Yes.
So those kind of conduct by Sergeant Smith to you, sir, as a lieutenant, would mean that Sergeant Smith investigated, preliminarily at least, of what happened, correct?
Agreed.
And at that point in time, as a former personnel division lieutenant and a specialized assignment lieutenant, you would expect Sergeant Smith to report any misconduct that he saw on July 28, 2023, correct?
Yes.
In your training, when you're assigned to internal affairs or the professional standards division, are you aware that a disagreement between supervisors, is that an exception to the 1-year rule?
That there's no situation legally where that would be an exception to the rule.
Right, because that would be kind of crazy for the law to have that, right? If a lieutenant disagrees with a captain and the sergeant disagrees with the lieutenant, then the 1-year rule will never have an end, correct?
So objection is vague and ambiguous.
I'll rephrase the question. It actually is, you know that because supervisors tend to disagree on incidents, as we discussed, you know that part of your training experience is that if somebody disagrees with another, that doesn't serve as the exception for the 1-year rule, correct?
It is not an exception, correct?
So in your review, when you reviewed this November of 2023, you did not take your review as an exception to the 1-year rule. Is that a fair statement?
No, I'm not sure I follow that question.
Let me rephrase that question. When you launched the personnel complaint on 11/25/2023, are you telling this commission that the 1-year timeline started in November of 2023?
My interpretation of the law and our policy is that when I discovered that allegation myself, that was the initiation of the 1-year statute.
Okay. Even though Sergeant Schmidt had already begun his investigation and interviewed witnesses and reviewed reports and reviewed videos in July of 2023, your sworn testimony is that it's when you reviewed this in November 2023 is where the statute begun. Is that your testimony?
Yes, and that hinges on the elements in the law that uses the word discovery, which to me indicates awareness.
Right. How about you should have been aware or something? Did you learn that somewhere in your classes that you took? Is that a supervisor should have been aware if you watched the body-worn camera, interviewed witnesses, read reports? Did you learn that somewhere along the line in your training and your tenure?
Ideally, Sergeant Smith would have identified this then, agreed. But that's why we have this process with multiple layers of review.
And multiple layers of review is not an exception to the 1-year rule, correct?
Correct.
Did you ask Sergeant Smith any questions on whether or not he interviewed, for instance, Mr. Garcia concerning this incident?
I believe he did. Well, I don't know if I asked him just to specify a question. I didn't ask him that. I believe there was a video of that, if I recall correctly. I believe there was a video of that, if I recall correctly. That interview.
There's a video of Sergeant Smith interviewing Mr. Garcia that you reviewed?
It was either a video or I remember him summarizing it in his report. But I do believe there was some reference to him asking Mr. Garcia questions after the fact.
In that review, do you recall any kind of inquiry by Sergeant Smith on whether or not some direct pressure was applied to Mr. Garcia's trachea or windpipe?
I do not believe that was the content of this discussion.
And you, I think, just defined what a choke was to the commission, correct?
Yes,
And you defined it as applying direct pressure to the suspect's trachea or windpipe, correct?
correct.
Meaning you cut off their airways so they can't breathe, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Does direct pressure, sir, means any contact or applying some pressure?
Our policy states any pressure to the windpipe or trachea. So it's irrelevant whether it's extreme enough to cut off breathing.
Ms. Cohen, could you highlight the part at the last paragraph on this document, please? Can you tell the commission where it says any pressure? I think you testified that you cannot apply any pressure. Can you tell the commission where in this policy says any pressure?
It says direct pressure.
Okay. Direct pressure means some application of physical force onto the trachea or windpipe, correct?
Yes,
All right. So would you agree that the best way to know whether or not there was direct pressure to be applied will be perhaps interviewing Mr. Garcia?
it definitely wouldn't hurt.
How about asking Officer Vasquez directly, did you apply direct pressure to the suspect's windpipe?
Are you asking what I think Sergeant Smith should have done, or
Let me rephrase my
okay,
question.
Thank you.
The policy states that an officer cannot use a chokehold, correct?
Correct.
And it defines a chokehold as any type of direct pressure on the suspect's trachea or windpipe, correct?
Correct.
My question to you is, in order to determine whether or not direct pressure is applied to you as a lieutenant, do you believe it is the best way to find out is to ask the suspect himself? Hey, was direct pressure applied? Did you feel any pressure on your windpipe? That would be a way to find out, correct?
That is one avenue of finding out, yeah.
And another way perhaps is to ask my client who is involved in the use of force and ask him, hey, Julian Vazquez, did you apply any type of pressure to his trachea or windpipe?
Also an advantageous way of finding out, yeah.
I mean, that's a sure way to know whether something like this happened, right?
I would not say sure. It's one way of gathering a totality of circumstances and make that conclusion.
I understand. In the video, you reviewed the video, correct?
Yes.
You cannot determine for any kind of certainty that any kind of pressure was applied by my client. Is that a fair statement?
No, I disagree.
You, from the video, can tell that my client applied direct pressure on suspect's windpipe or trachea?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your personnel complaint was filed before Sergeant Arlen Wells was interviewed, correct? Well, let me withdraw that question because I don't even think you know when Sergeant Wells was interviewed.
Correct.
Do you know when Sergeant Wells was interviewed?
I do not.
Okay. You know who Sergeant Wells is?
I do.
Okay. He's your subject matter expert in use of force. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
And I don't want to lessen your tenure, but are you a use of force expert?
No.
Have you ever qualified as a use of force expert?
Not for many, many years.
Have you ever attended any kind of use of force instructor school?
No.
Any kind of principal policing instructor by any kind of law enforcement agency?
Any principal police instructor? I don't think that's related to force.
Have you ever been certified by the Peace Officer Standards Training as an use of force instructor?
No.
Have you ever attended a Force Science Institute, which is the use of force training center for police officers over the country?
I've attended seminars put on by them, but not, I don't know if you're talking about some type of certification, then no.
They do have a certification, and clearly you have not attended that.
Correct.
How about any kind of instructor certificate for any Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, any kind of ground fighting, anything like that?
No.
How about any kind of formal training by any law enforcement institute on the use of chokehold or ground fighting or carotid or any kind of chokehold courses?
No.
But you're telling this commission without any of those formal training, you as a lieutenant can sit there, watch the video, and tell these commissioners that my client applied direct pressure on the windpipe and trachea.
Yes, and if you want to go over the video, I can articulate my response if needed.
No, I'm just asking that general question,
Okay.
Lieutenant.
Yes.
Okay. Would it surprise you, sir, that Sergeant Wells opined that my client's use of force was reasonable?
Would it surprise me? No.
Do you, and I don't think counsel would disagree, you would disagree with Sergeant Wells' finding that the use of force, although not taught that specific maneuver, but the use of force, the application of the use of force was reasonable under circumstances. Would you disagree with that?
I would have to somehow obtain more information. I think
And that's-
like my personnel complaint, I indicated it's the potential misconduct.
I understand, sir. So, and let's do that out of fairness to you. Can we go to page 139, Exhibit 7? On top of the page here, on page 139, Sergeant Wells essentially ended his resume by saying that he took over the sergeant position as a use of force cadre in 2020. Does that sound correct to you?
Yeah.
Basically, he's the use of force guy for Torrance PD.
Correct.
Okay, and he still is to date?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could please scroll down to to the bottom last paragraph. All right, and I'll represent to you that this is Sergeant Wells' interview with then Sergeant Kronbach. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll read the last paragraph, and I'll ask you to agree or disagree. Sergeant Wells says, like our policy states, we can't come up with a technique for every situation that officers have to encounter. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
We give officers guidelines and ideas of how to deal with different situations. In this particular situation, as the circumstances unfold, one of the options to deal with someone who's resisting will be to utilize two officers. One officer will push the individual in the car as much as possible because there's limited amount of space between the door and the back seat, where it's hard to get two officers there to deal with that one person. Therefore, you have to have someone else go around the opposite side, pull the individual into the car while one officer pushes that person into the car while simultaneously dealing with the individual's upper body and lower extremities, which includes the leg and feet. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I don't know what the intention of his answer is, but it sounds like he's providing one option to deal with that situation.
Right.
So yeah, I agree.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Next page. And I want to read a little bit out of it because I don't think the other one applies. Arden Wells says, watching the video, I can see where Mr. Garcia would assume or believe that he's being choked. Now, obviously, I think you agree with me that the best way to find out, or one of the ways you can find out, is to ask Ms. Garcia that specific question, correct?
It's one way to, again, add to the totality of the conclusion.
Right. Instead of just assuming, you ask Mr. Garcia, hey, Mr. Garcia, was there any kind of pressure around your windpipe to such that there was some pressure or it would cut off your airway or anything like that, correct?
Yes, but I mean, each avenue that you're pursuing in terms of coming to a conclusion, some are less credible than others. In my review of the video, even if he said he was not choked, I would still argue he's choked.
No, I understand that. And I think we understand your position despite the lack of experience and training. But I'm asking you, do you agree with that assertion I just made?
Objection is vague and ambiguous and argumentative.
I was just saying the objection or argument.
Can we go to page 142? And before I read that paragraph, do you know who Mitch Tavera is?
Retired El Segundo chief, I believe.
Yes, he testified at the last hearing, day 3. Would it surprise? And do you know his qualifications?
Loosely and not specific.
I'll represent to you that he was retained by the city of Torrance to testify in this case, and he has a very enriched and a very vast amount of use of force training and experience. He was the police chief at El Segundo. He opined that he could understand and he had no issues with Julian Vazquez's maneuver in the car. Do you disagree with that opinion?
Well, I would object as it mischaracterizes a testimony on lax foundation.
Sustained.
Let's read Sergeant Wells's finding right in the middle where it says, I believe it was reasonable. I think what I'll do is I'll read Sergeant Cronbach's question, and could you please highlight where it says the third portion? Okay. Question by Sergeant Cronbach. The third portion of this, with regarding the force used, was officer's response following his allegation of a knee or a foot from Mr. Garcia causing pressure to his groin or lower abdomen. Was Officer Vasquez's use of either chokehold or pressure around Mr. Garcia's neck, was that reasonable or not in your opinion? Answer, I believe it was reasonable. And before I read what he's saying is, do you agree or disagree with Sergeant Wells's opinion?
I believe Sergeant Wells had much more information regarding the totality of this incident than I had. Could it be reasonable? Yes.
All right.
You've been asking me if it was a choke, not if it's been reasonable.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand, but let me ask the question, and you just answer yes or no. Okay. Do you agree, based on what just read to you, that Sergeant Wells found the use of force to be reasonable? Do you, as a lieutenant, agree with that conclusion?
I think you asked me 2 questions there, sir.
Let me break it down.
Okay.
Sergeant Wells' response to Sergeant Cronbach's question was, I believe it was reasonable. Do you agree with that?
I feel like I need more information to make that conclusion.
Sergeant Wells, and I just read to you what he was asked by Sergeant Cronbach. He opined that the use of force is reasonable. Your response is that you cannot give us a response to what Sergeant Wells' response was, correct? You need more information?
Could you restate that question?
Sure. Sergeant Wells was interviewed by Sergeant Cronbach. I just read you an interview transcript from that portion of the interview.
Right.
Do you remember me reading that to you?
Yes.
When Sergeant Wells was asked whether or not Sergeant Wells believed the use of force was reasonable or not, he answered in affirmative. He says, I believe the use of force was reasonable. My question to you, sir, is you launched a personnel complaint, correct?
Correct.
You found, at least in the outset of this investigation, before Sergeant Wilson's interview, you believe there was a potential policy violation, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you also testified that you can see some direct pressure being applied by my client against Garcia, correct?
see and hear, yes.
Okay. And you also said that not all chokehold are equivalent or automatically resulting in a personnel complaint, correct?
I don't believe I did say that.
You didn't testify to this commission that not all chokes are automatically a personnel complaint? You didn't testify that on direct examination?
No, your question was allegations by a suspect of choke to generate a personnel complaint. That's it, not necessarily. I recall his question was regarding allegations of chokeholds from a suspect. Would that necessarily generate a personnel complaint? And I believe I said no to that question.
Okay, so my question is, given all the answers and responses you've provided to us, my question is, do you agree with Sergeant Wells' finding that this use of force was reasonable?
I don't have the information Sergeant Wells had to make that conclusion, so I cannot agree with his conclusion.
Well, I'll represent to you that Sergeant Wells reviewed the video, he reviewed the reports, he reviewed everything that you've reviewed. So my question is, after knowing that, do you agree with Sergeant Wells' response?
Objection is a lax foundation and is vague and ambiguous.
Mr. Bent?
I understand.
Sustained.
Did you ever follow up with Sergeant Wells and ask him, hey, what was your finding in this investigation?
No,
Did you ever ask Sergeant Kronbach, what did Sergeant Wells say?
no, I mean, that would violate the confidentiality of the internal affairs process.
I want to ask you, sir, about some specific questions, and I think council provided some still photos. We can publish that. That would be exhibit, I think, 30 and 31.
17A, B, C, and D.
It will be 17 B, C, and D. And while they're pulling up the exhibit, I'll just ask you a different question. I think your testimony, undisputed testimony, was you believe, based on watching the video, that you're able to ascertain that my client applied direct pressure to suspect Garcia's windpipe or trachea, correct?
Correct.
I want you to show the commission where the windpipe or trachea is of a person.
It's the airway, the breathing box, or the mouth area down to the lungs.
And if you can please point to where the windpipe is exactly, so the commissioner can see what you're talking about in relationship to the video.
Objection is irrelevant.
Mr. Bent? Overruled.
And hold your hand where the windpipe is so they can see it. So you're pointing up and down the neck area. So from what? The chin down to where your collar of your tie is? That's the windpipe?
Well, like just the airway from the mouth to the chest area. My tie's in the way, I'm sorry.
So
Center of the neck,
so
vertically.
So anywhere the center of the neck to you is the windpipe or trachea? That's your testimony before the commission?
Anywhere in the center, just the area that allows air to enter the mouth and the nasal cavity down to the chest.
No, I understand, but my question is very specific. My question is, you determined that there's direct pressure applied to the trachea and the windpipe, correct?
Or the windpipe.
Correct. So
Yeah.
my question is, show the commission where exactly you believe the windpipe or the trachea is, so we can all know that what you saw is consistent with the video.
Vertically, the center of the neck down.
So, okay. And you're holding with a bladed hand. And if I can just describe what you're holding, because I want the record to be clear, is that you use the right hand and you made a up and down motion where it is right below your jawline alongside of your neck, your Adam's apple, and then comes up to the top of your tie. Is that the gesture you just made?
Yes.
And whenever exhibit 17B is ready, we can publish it. 17B as a boy. Thank you. Could you please enlarge that a little bit so we can kind of zoom in? All right. And here you would agree what you see is my client's right hand on the jawline of Mr. Garcia, correct?
I would say he's touching his jawline, yes.
Right. I mean, almost a motion to get Garcia away from my client. Is that what you saw?
I do think he was trying to get distant from the suspect, yes.
Right, because the suspect, according to my client, was trying to kick his groin, right? Was that your understanding of the events?
I know his knees were up in that chest area of your client. I would not be surprised if he was kicking his groin.
Well,
I don't remember specifically that being documented about kicking the groin.
Well, you review Sergeant Schmidt's administrative review, correct?
Yeah.
And I can point to it and take this off, but in the admin review, didn't Sergeant Schmidt specifically say that one of the reasons why my client created distance is because due to the pressure on my client's groin area, right? Isn't that what you read?
I may have, I don't recollect that.
Okay.
I witnessed him kicking and using his knees. Not surprised.
All right, well, since he doesn't remember, can we go to page 68 just to refresh his memory? And let me know if you read this, Lieutenant. In the middle of the page where the italicized, and you read this administrative review from Sergeant Smith, correct?
So objection, that's not the document. That's the internal affairs report.
Which cited the administrative review. Did you review this, sir? If not, I'll point you to the admin.
I did not review this document. No.
Okay. Then let's go to page. Let's go to page 164. You certainly reviewed this document, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where it says supervisor review. Did you read this?
Yes.
Okay. And 3 paragraphs down, where is highlighted in orange. I'll read this to you to refresh your memory, okay?
Mr. Yu, I will just put on the record, your copy may not have the redactions that the public copy has. If you could please just ensure any redacted officers' names are not put into the record.
Yes, ma'am. My version does have the redacted version, redacted names. All right, I'll read this and see if I can refresh your memory. Okay, sir. Officer Vasquez advised me while attempting to place Garcia into the police vehicle, he had turned towards him, causing Officer Vasquez to use his body weight and push Garcia into the car. During this time, Garcia used his legs to push against Officer Vasquez's groin, causing Officer Vasquez to momentarily push Garcia away on his neck. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Did that help you remember things?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not, according to my client and what Sergeant Schmidt documented, whereupon Garcia was trying to use his legs against Officer Vasquez's groin area?
Yes.
Okay. And can we go back to Exhibit 17B as in boy? And sir, my question to you is, you obviously reviewed this video and this still shot as part of your administrative review, correct?
The video, I'm not sure if broken into stills. But I reviewed.
Fair enough. But this still shot is from the video that you reviewed, correct?
It appears to be.
Okay. So this still shot was provided by the attorney for the police department, so I'm gonna publish it, all right? In this still shot, will you agree that Julian Vazquez's hand is on the jaw portion, outer portion of Garcia's face? Agreed? Is that what you see?
Potentially his thumb and webbing is on the windpipe or trachea.
Okay. And could you just please enlarge this portion, in the center portion of it, to show more? There you go. One more time. One more enlargement. One more. Okay. In fact, my clients, there's a gap between the hand and the neck area. Is that what you see?
No.
And what you see is this is direct pressure to what you described as the trachea or the windpipe?
I feel like we're focusing on the still shot. If you just play the video, I can tell you specifically where the pressure was, and you can actually hear the suspect, his breathing's inhibited as he's speaking.
I understand. And I will do that. The commission's seen the video many times, but I'm asking about this still shot because this is provided by your attorney. I'm asking you, in this still shot, do you see direct pressure being applied against Garcia?
Potentially.
You cannot tell, correct?
Just solely on this photograph?
Well, yeah.
I'd be surprised if there was not direct pressure on his trachea or windpipe right there in that photograph.
I'll ask you a different way, sir. Do you take this photograph to mean that my client was trying to create some distance because according to him, he's feeling pressure in his groin?
That's a reasonable explanation from your client, yes.
But do you, when you're reviewing this footage in November 2023, and as you stand here before the commission, you understand that officers are trained to create distance in some type of fashion when they're being engaged by suspect. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And I know you're not a use of force expert, but you are trained in the learning domains from the academy to the policy of the police department, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever been trained on how to react when a suspect kicks you in the groin?
Specifically, or I mean defensive aspect for kicking, yes, but
No.
specifically in the groin.
So my question is, you yourself, 21 years on the job, had you ever been trained in a situation where a suspect kicks you in the groin?
Yes.
And what was that training?
Just force options with a live suited combatant defendant, like role playing with a padded red man suit, they call it. Those situations where they attack you. There's various kicking. I mean, kicking in the thigh, the groin, stomach. It's all very similar defensive.
Okay.
At least that's what they train.
I'm gonna ask you again, okay? The red man suit is where you wear these protective gear, correct?
It's a training scenario, yeah.
But you wear protective gear.
Correct.
You have a helmet on.
The suspect does, yes.
Well, the officer is fighting a suspect with a helmet on, correct?
Just to clarify, the officer doesn't have any padding on. It's the suspect.
I understand.
Yeah.
The officer has nothing, correct?
Depends on the training scenario.
Okay. And the suspect has a helmet on, correct?
Sometimes,
They have some protective gear on them, correct?
yes,
They have knee guards,
yes,
a chest protector,
yes,
okay? And the officer has to overcome some resistance, correct?
yes.
In that case, in the red man scenario, the red man does not kick the officer in the groin, correct?
I can't speak for every red man scenario.
The one you attended, sir.
Yes, there was kicking.
You were kicked in the groin by the red man, and now you have to fight back? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not a scripted scenario, but that's potentially what could happen during the training.
Let me ask my question again. 21 years on the job as a police lieutenant, have you ever been trained on how to react when a suspect kicks you in the groin? Yes or no?
Yes,
What kind of training did you receive?
I just explained that.
In the red man scenario.
Scenarios such as that, yes.
Okay, and what did they teach you how to react when you get kicked in the groin?
Fight back, protect yourself, create distance like you mentioned. There's various avenues depending on the situation.
And how do you fight back, Lieutenant, when you're being kicked in the groin? What kind of force options are there when you get kicked in the groin?
Similar to any attack. Feet as weapons, hands, the tool belt we have, various force options.
Potentially deadly force?
If you're getting kicked, no, most likely not.
Do you know, or during your administrative review, did you review Julian Vazquez's training records?
No,
Did you inquire whether or not he received the same training as you in how to react when somebody kicked him in the groin? Did you find out?
no, I didn't have access to his training records.
Did you ask Sergeant Schmidt to find out his training record, whether or not he was trained, my client was trained, in how to react when somebody kicks him in the groin?
Just to clarify, did I ask Sergeant Smits if he looked into his training record?
Let me re-ask you so we don't mix up the who's he, okay? During your administrative review in November 2023, did you ask Sergeant Schmidt to look into Julian Vazquez's training record to determine whether or not Officer Vasquez was trained in how to react when somebody kicked him in the groin?
No,
Did you, in your personnel complaint, did you write down in one of the complaint or allegations that you put in detail? It says details, complaint or allegation on the paragraph we just read. Did you put in that section to inquire or to determine whether or not Officer Vasquez received any kind of training on how to react when somebody kicks him in the groin?
did I write that? No, sir.
But you wrote the policy down, correct?
If we're talking about the personnel complaint, I believe so. Yeah.
And you know that officers, when they're in service or working patrol, they have to be trained in the policy that they're being held accountable. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Meaning, if you don't train an officer in how to react when you get kicked in the groin, then you can't hold them to that policy. Is that a fair statement?
No, it's somewhat vague, so I can't hold them to what policy.
Sure. Hypothetically speaking, okay? If Julian Vazquez was not trained in how to react when somebody kicks him in the groin, in your opinion as a police lieutenant, should he be held liable or accountable for a policy that he wasn't trained in?
Well, to your logic before, you can't train for every possible situation. So that applies here.
Okay. Not my question, because you were trained in a scenario where you were kicked in the groin, correct? You just testified to the commission that.
Okay, no, I didn't, but I was involved in a scenario where that potentially could happen, yes.
I'm sorry. Were you trained, sir, in how to react when you're kicked in the groin by the police department? I thought you had just said yes to the commission.
Yes, not specifically the groin. You're taught in defensive tactics related to kicks, just as your client was.
So you were not trained, Lieutenant, in any kind of formal training on how to react when you're kicked in the groin, correct?
No, and I wasn't trained how to react when I'm specifically kicked in the elbow, for example, but you're trained defensive tactics related to kicks.
Well, elbow's different from your groin, is it not?
That would be a question for the force expert. That would be a question for the force expert.
Excuse me, are you nearing the end, or do you have a bit, or should we maybe take a break? Because it's been a long bout of testimony for everybody, no witness included, so maybe this is a good time to take 15 minutes. We'll be back at 7:35.
Sure.
We are back on the record.
May I continue? May I continue?
Please continue.
Lieutenant Fischer, I want to go back just for a few moments on the initial complaint, what you saw. This is November 25, 2023 personnel complaint, okay?
Okay.
When you first, I just want to make sure I understand your testimony right. When you first reviewed the Sergeant Schmidt's administrative review, you disagree with his finding, correct?
With his conclusion, yes.
With his conclusion. And so you formulated or you drafted this personnel complaint, and before you drafted the personnel complaint, you yourself watched the body-worn camera of my client, correct?
Yes.
You watched the back seat camera of the interactions between Garcia and my client, correct?
Yes.
You necessarily reviewed the police report, correct?
Yes.
The only, not the only, but you did not review any sort of internal affairs report because at that time, the case was not given to internal affairs, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, in November 2023, you believe there is a policy violation, alleged policy violation of a chokehold, correct?
Yes.
And that is a sort of a use of force, that is an excessive force not allowed by the police department.
It's a force option that's not approved and in violation of policy. I don't necessarily think it'd be excessive in every situation.
All right. So in some situations, it can be justified, correct? A chokehold.
It's a violation of policy, but there are situations where it could occur.
Right. For instance, sometimes an encounter with deadly force even can justify a chokehold, correct? In a deadly force scenario. Agreed?
Legally, it's not a force option, so I don't know if I would use the word justified, but in terms of reasonableness, I think that's accurate.
So when you first reviewed this case, you did not believe that was excessive force. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. I did not believe it was excessive force.
It is just a violation of policy,
Potential.
policy.
Yes.
And sitting here today, do you have any opinion, one way or another, that this was in fact a violation of policy?
My opinion, based on only the information I had at the time and now, was that it was a violation of policy.
An alleged violation of policy.
If you're asking my opinion, just based on those facts, I think policy was violated.
So let me.
But I also agree that further investigation must have been done past that point, which is why I filed a personnel complaint.
All right. Let me just back up so we're on the same page, okay? When you wrote the personnel complaint on November 25, 2023, you had not reviewed any kind of witness statements from internal affairs, correct?
Correct.
You had not reviewed any kind of statements from my client, correct?
Correct.
And you agree that officer's state of mind is very important to a use of force investigation.
Yes.
Okay. You had not reviewed Sergeant Wells's opinion and finding because he was interviewed after you filed your complaint, correct?
Also correct.
So, Sergeant Wells is your use of force expert, correct?
Yes.
You would agree, whether or not you agree with his finding, but you would agree that Sergeant Wells's opinion is very important in this investigation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. To date, as you stand here today, did you review Sergeant Wells's opinion?
No. Just what you briefly
Okay.
showed me here.
You did not review his interview transcript, correct?
Correct.
You did not review Julian Vazquez's interview transcript, correct?
Correct.
You did not review any of the witnesses' transcript, correct?
The IA transcripts, no.
And you certainly didn't review Mr. Garcia's because there weren't any, correct?
I couldn't say.
Okay.
I did not review any.
So what you know now as you stand here before the commission and what you know on November 25, 2023 is exactly the same, correct?
I've learned a lot here tonight just from what you showed me, but
Sure.
yes.
Other than that, you know everything tonight, the same thing you knew on November 25, 2023. True?
Pertaining to this matter, yes.
Sir, we're only talking about this matter.
Okay.
So let me ask you again. What you know tonight as you stand here before the commission to what you know on November 25, 2023 is exactly the same, correct?
Yes.
And in November 2023, you did not believe this is an excessive force alleged policy violation, correct?
Correct.
So is it fair to say, Lieutenant Fischer, as you stand here today, you have zero opinion as to whether or not, in fact, my client violated the policy?
We're talking about two different topics. You're saying excessive force versus a policy violation. I would opine that he did violate policy based on only what I saw. But at that time, I also did not think what I saw constituted excessive force.
Clear as mud. Let me ask you a different way, okay? Now I'll move on. On November 25, 2023, you testified that you had only alleged that Officer Vasquez violated the policy of restriction on the use of chokehold. Is that right?
Yes.
And at that time, you had the information you reviewed that I just covered on cross-examination. Is that right?
Yes.
From November 25, 2023 to now, you're armed with the exact same amount of information, correct?
Yes.
So now, testifying before this commission, is it fair to say that you have the exact same information that you had in November of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. You're not here to tell the commission, in fact, that Julian Vazquez violated the policy, correct? You're not the decision maker.
Correct. But you asked my opinion.
Were you in the room with any of the decision maker and render any kind of opinion, your personal opinion, on whether or not Julian Vazquez violated the policy?
No.
Can we pull up Exhibit 7, page 71? And I'm gonna read a portion, and you recognize when the section says, while the ultimate objective, do you recognize that line? It's a quote from your use of force policy, but do you remember as you stand here today?
No.
Can we please go to the previous page and highlight under lexical policy 300.3? You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a correct copy of your use of force policy?
I don't know what that document is. I mean, it appears to be lexical policy 300.3, but it's in a different format than I'm used to.
Do you know that 300.3 is your use of force policy, sir?
I know the 300 section encompasses use of force in general, yes.
And you understand that 300.3 is a portion of your use of force policy of the Torrance PD?
Yes, I just don't know what document this is. I don't know who copied it and pasted it.
I understand, but
Okay.
my question is just focusing on the language, not the cut and paste, but just the language that's policy. Do you recognize where it says lexical policy 300.3, use of force?
Yes.
Does that appear to be an accurate copy of your use of force policy?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And can you scroll down, please, to the next page? All right. The last paragraph I'm going to read to you where it says, while the ultimate objective, and could you highlight that portion, please? While the ultimate objective of every law enforcement encounter is to avoid or minimize injury, nothing in this policy requires an officer to retreat or be exposed to possible physical injury before applying reasonable force, correct?
Correct.
Did I read it correctly?
Yes.
And you know that is part of your use of force policy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you take that paragraph to mean that an officer doesn't have to be punched or kicked before they can utilize force?
Correct.
Do you agree with that policy?
I do.
That means someone like Julian Vazquez in an encounter with Garcia, Julian doesn't have to back up, retreat, run away, close the door before he uses force, correct?
Correct.
There's no duty to retreat for a police officer, agreed?
Agree.
A police officer do not have to run away, retreat before taking actions, correct?
Correct.
And your use of force policy says you don't have to do the retreating or to be exposed to physical injury before using force, right?
Correct.
Means you don't have to get kicked in the groin first before you react, correct?
Agree.
Meaning if you feel some pressure in your groin area, you can react and act, right?
Yes.
Because your policy says, hey, you don't have to risk getting kicked and perhaps sustain injury before you fight back, right?
Yes.
Nothing else.
Mr. Grether, you can begin your redirect.
Lieutenant Fischer, earlier council was asking you about the SB 1421,
Yes.
and you didn't modify that section on that administrative review.
I did not.
Were you making any judgments as to whether or not this conduct was reportable under SB 1421
At the time, or
at the time?
yeah, I don't recall even considering that, to be honest, at the time.
Was your administrative review focused on whether or not it was reportable under SB 1421?
No.
What was you were sorry, I'll withdraw. Did you make any findings in this case?
Findings? No. I made I actually called a conclusion of whether policy was violated or not.
And if I were to pose to you that Sergeant Wells also said that the actions were a violation of policy, would you agree with that?
I guess depends on which actions, but
Sure. We get a page 141 of Exhibit 7 there, the PD 2023-09.
$141, you said?
Mm-hmm. And if you see the top question there, or the question from Sergeant Crumbaugh, and we have the video stopped here at this moment, 17:49:44. Based on your observation of this use of force occurring, specifically with regard to the chokehold, is it your opinion that this would be a prohibited measure by our department? And Arlen Wells says yes. You see that?
yes.
And if we look also at the top there, it's with Arlen Wells, it's referring to policy 300.3.7. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's a prohibition on the use of a chokehold, right?
Correct.
And do officers have a duty to comply with policy when they're effecting an arrest?
Yes.
And once you suspect an officer of a policy violation, what are you supposed to do?
Depending on the violation, the potential violation, if I consider the violation to require further investigation, questioning of the subject officer, I would, like in this case, draft a personnel complaint.
I'm sorry, you were in this case.
Draft a personnel complaint.
And if we could go to page 167 of that same document. If we could go into the second half there, and in fact, there's a portion highlighted in the second paragraph under Division Commander's Review. And the beginning of that sentence is, Officer Vasquez reacts by pushing the subject into the open rear door panel, and he then uses both his hands to briefly grab the neck / collarbone of the suspect and push him into the rear seat of the police vehicle. Did you see that?
Yes.
And so in your review, did you see Officer Vasquez push the suspect into the car by his neck?
I would say collarbone, neck area, in that initial push, yes.
And that was before any contact by Garcia with a kick or anything like that, right?
Objection, misstating the evidence, misstating the video.
All right, let's watch the video. Let's put up Exhibit 17.
Do I need to rule on that, or?
Well, I don't know if council's would.
Oh, I'll withdraw the question, and I'll ask to put up Exhibit 17.
Mr. Greco, are you requesting a specific timestamp, or would you like the entire video?
You can play the first, I think, 15 seconds. Lieutenant Fischer, do you recognize that video?
Yes.
And when you did your administrative review, what issues did you see with Officer Vasquez's actions there?
My initial concerns were the initial portion of this incident. I had concerns about the control measures used by Officer Vasquez and his peers for that matter, specifically a lack of control of the somewhat argumentative and already combative suspect. He wasn't properly searched, and in my opinion, they weren't using our trained measures to control him outside the vehicle. Once the car door was open, the suspect spun on Officer Vasquez, creating a face-to-face scenario which progressed into what you see here and pushing him into the vehicle in reaction to that spin.
Could we put up Exhibit 17A? If we could highlight the back and I guess the back of the suspect there. That's good. And Lieutenant Fischer, do you see Officer Vasquez's hands in this situation?
Yes, I see at least a couple of fingers of the hand.
And where are his hands?
Looks like the sides of his neck, below his ears. I can see fingers on the suspect's right side. And I believe that's his hand on the opposite side as well.
And did Officer Vasquez, from your review, push the suspect into the vehicle?
Yes, I think first into the door, the open door, and then ultimately into the vehicle.
And could we show 17C? This is a few seconds later. Do you see where Officer Vasquez's hand is?
That photo, to me, it appears he's got a grip of his shirt underneath his chin, I guess you call it. Maybe grasping his shirt. It's difficult to tell.
Maybe.
Grasping his shirt is difficult to tell.
And then, does the suspect make any complaints in that video?
He's yelling, obviously, throughout the video, or at least for the bulk of it. He makes complaints about Officer Vasquez choking him at some point. I believe that's it.
Was there anything else in the video that led you to believe that pressure was being applied to the windpipe?
Yes, if I recall, Officer Vasquez put his hand on the subject's throat 2 times, very briefly. But one of the times, I don't recall if it was the first or second time, you can hear the suspect's voice fluctuate, indicating that there's pressure on the airway.
Objection, cause for speculation. Move to strike.
I have a question and answer right back.
Is there anything else in the video that leads you to believe that pressure was applied to the windpipe? Answer yes, if I recall, Officer Vasquez put his hand on the subject's throat 2 times very briefly, but one of the times, I don't recall if it was the first or second time, you can hear the suspect's voice fluctuate, indicating there was pressure on the airway.
I would recommend that.
Overruled.
I have nothing further.
Sir, a suspect's voice can fluctuate for various reasons. Agreed?
Yes.
If I'm moving around and yelling, my voice can fluctuate, correct?
Yes.
And to be fair, if I'm getting choked to such my airway is blocked, then it's like a gargle voice, correct?
I can say.
You can't say. A suspect their voices can fluctuate up and down for reasons other than being choked. Agreed?
Agreed.
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
I think your answer was
Agreed.
you never heard Mr. Garcia make a quote unquote complaint, did you?
I think his, like a formal complaint, could you clarify? Or?
In the video, do you hear, sir, Mr. Garcia says, I'm complaining about A, B, C, and D.
He does not say that. He says, he choked me. He did
Right.
too much, something along that line.
Right. And I think you testified earlier that a suspect's allegation of being choked, that doesn't necessarily land you a personnel complaint. That was your testimony, correct?
Correct.
Because in your experience, suspects sometimes say I'm getting choked without really knowing what a choke is. Agreed?
Yes, it's feasible.
Thank you. Now, I want to ask you something very specific about counsel's question, and if you can pull up to page 82 again, Exhibit 7.
What page again?
82, please. All right. And by the way, the checkbox of excessive force, that's not checked in your as a type of complaint, correct? You checked violation of policy, correct?
Yes.
All right. And if we can go to page 162 again. And we're right there. Okay. Now I wanna just get your testimony straight, okay, Lieutenant? SB 1421 is a legal requirement, correct?
Yes.
If you had some information to believe this was an excessive force case, you'll be obligated to put yes, correct?
If it's a case involving force resulting in great bodily injury or death, I'd be mandated to check that box. I don't believe excessive force is one of those categories, but regardless, at the time I did not believe it was excessive force.
Right, but isn't a chokehold, can't that result in great bodily injury or death? Isn't that why the policy is enacted to prevent such use, right?
You're asking me if it could
Right.
result? Yes, it could.
Right. So if you thought there was some kind of great bodily injury or the risk of great bodily injury on Mr. Garcia resulting from my client's use of force, you would have had to put yes on there, correct?
It's just an objection as it's an incomplete hypothetical and it lacks foundation. It's vague and ambiguous.
I have a question to ask. Well, question right back, please.
So if you thought there was some kind of great bodily injury or that the risk of great bodily injury on Mr. Garcia resulting from the client's use of force, you would have to put yes on there, correct?
Yeah, I would overrule that.
Overruled.
Oh, I thought I answered it. I'm sorry. Could you repeat it?
She just read it back to you. You don't remember the question? Could you read back
I'll
again?
take it again.
So if you thought there was some kind of great bodily injury or that the risk of great bodily injury on Mr. Garcia resulting from my client's use of force, you would have put yes on there, correct?
Yes.
I'll represent to you, and I don't think they will object, that my client was put off on leave administrative leave on November 29, 2023. Okay?
Okay.
From July 28th to November 29, 2023, did you ever make any kind of inquiry to ascertain where Julian Vazquez was, if he was engaged in this egregious misconduct, why he would be working, answering call for service and arresting people? Did you ever make that inquiry in your personnel complaint?
Well, the personnel complaint's not really an avenue to make inquiries.
Fair enough. Did you, as the watch commander of that shift, make any inquiry, independent of any personnel complaint, why this officer who supposedly engaged in this egregious misconduct, why he would be working for almost 4 months post this incident?
No, I recommended some training with our force staff, which I thought was appropriate. But no, that was not a concern of mine.
And you recommended training because this is a training issue, agreed?
It's a policy violation. However, it has the potential of being remedied, in my opinion, by training. Yes.
Right.
That's my recommendation in the complaint. Or in
Meaning,
the admin review, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to cut you off, sir.
In the admin review, I said in the complaint. That was documented in the admin review.
I understand. And you recommended training because an officer such as Officer Vasquez should be afforded the opportunity to be remedied in a policy violation. Is that right?
My interpretation of this incident was a officer struggling to deal with a very difficult situation, and he didn't have the skill set at the time to deal with it. Therefore, I recommended the training.
Meaning somebody pulling Julian Vazquez or other young officers aside and say, hey, next time you handle it this way, not that way. Is that a kind of a fair interpretation to what you mean by training?
No, at the time, I basically recommended he spend maybe a day or two one-on-one training with our force staff, officers like Sergeant Wells, for example. They could provide him the tools to deal with that situation more effectively.
Which means you provide some kind of remedy to receive remedial use of force training, correct?
Correct. I mean, I was directing him and my other staff to engage that problem.
Are you surprised that no such training was provided to my client even after your recommendation?
I would have been, but you said he was put on admin leave shortly after. Maybe that was the cause of it. But
Fair enough. Can we go to page 168, please? And I'm just going to draw your attention, sir, to the middle of the paragraph that says as a result. And by the way, you wrote this portion of the admin review, correct, sir?
yes,
All right. And I'm going to read it as a result. And if you can please highlight that portion. I have drafted a personnel complaint related to the above listed policy violation. And I also recommend that Officer Vasquez receive remedial use of force training at the next available opportunity.
correct.
And that's what you meant by providing some remedial training to offset and to learn from this, correct?
Yes,
You didn't put him on leave, get him fired, nothing like that you put in your report.
I did not.
Nothing further?
Thank you. We will now take questions from the commissioners.
Madam Chair, Mr. President, do you have any-
Oh, no, nothing further.
Sticking to the script. Commissioners, any questions? I have a question. And at one point, you mentioned, and I'm not using the right words, but like a protocol in the IA where there's confidentiality. Can you just speak to what that means to a lay person?
Sure. Once a personnel complaint is initiated, it triggers an internal affairs process. The officers have confidentiality laws that protect them in that process. So it would be inappropriate for me to seek out what was said in the interview, for example, who was interviewed, even just the details of that investigation after I drafted that complaint. I was involved in the subsequent investigation. I only triggered it, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Is there anything else we have for this witness at this time?
Not for me.
Mr. Grether?
Nothing further.
I need to admonish you. Other witnesses are still waiting to testify. Please do not discuss your testimony or evidence with anyone. Please leave the podium at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Grether, do you have another witness that you will be calling?
Yes, the Julian Vazquez.
Bear with me a moment, Mr. Vasquez.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now pending the Civil Service Commission, so help you?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. If you could please spell your name for the court reporter.
First name Julian, Julian. Last name Vasquez, Vazquez.
Thank you. A certified court reporter is taking a verbatim record of the proceedings. It's a gentle reminder to everyone to please pause in between someone talking. As you'll note, staff, the council will, if we see this happening, we'll just interject and make sure that everybody can keep an accurate record. Mr. Grether, you can begin your direct examination of this witness. Thank you.
Cross-examination as an adverse witness.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Vasquez. When did you start working for the Torrance Police Department?
I believe it was in the summertime of 2019.
2018 or
19, ma'am.
And what was your first position?
I was a police cadet.
And how long were you a cadet?
About a year.
And then what was your next position?
My next position was police recruit.
And when did you become a police recruit?
In about June of 2021.
And at some point you became a police officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when was that?
December 1st of 2021.
And you passed your probation with the Torrance PD?
Yes, I did.
And when was that?
It would have been a year after my graduation date, so December 1st of 2022.
And prior to being hired as a police officer, you had to attend a police academy, right?
Yes, I did.
And which academy did you attend?
I attended the Orange County Sheriff's Academy, class 246.
And when did you graduate?
December 1st, 2021.
And you received training while you're in the police academy, right?
Yes, I did.
Did you receive training on use of force?
Yes, I did.
On detaining suspects?
Yes, I did.
Conducting investigations?
Yes.
Handcuffing suspects?
Yes.
Writing reports?
Yes.
Searching subjects?
Yes.
You received training on searching vehicles?
Yes.
You received training on when you can conduct a search of a vehicle?
Yes.
You received training on obtaining consent to search a vehicle?
Yes.
You receive training on searching or on what to do when that consent is withdrawn?
Yes.
And you need a warrant to search sometimes, right?
At times, a warrant can be required.
And other times you can have a probable cause for a search, right?
Yes, sir, among other things.
And you can conduct limited searches for weapons on a person, right?
Correct.
And then after you were hired at Torrance, you received additional training, right?
Yes.
You received training on arrest and control tactics, right?
Yes.
Did you receive training on uses of force?
Yes.
When you were at the academy, did you receive any DUI investigations training?
Yes.
What about at the city of Torrance?
No.
And when you went into service as a police officer, you had to complete a field training, right?
That's correct.
And you're under a supervision of a field training officer at that time?
Yes, sir.
And how long is that field training program?
It's usually about 7 months.
And how long was yours?
6 months.
And you did a good job, right?
Yes, sir.
You got positive feedback from your field training officers?
I did.
You also were told there were things you needed to work on, right?
Yes.
And once you completed your field training, you were ready to work as a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
You did not need to be assisted by a field training officer, right?
No, sir.
You were confident in your abilities?
Yes, sir.
And you would agree that every officer needs to abide by policies, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not an unreasonable request.
Not at all.
Indeed, police departments need to be able to trust their officers, right?
Correct.
In fact, one of the policies says that officers should ask questions if there's something they don't understand, right?
Yes.
And you're responsible for reviewing policies, right?
Yes.
And you were provided updated policies to review, right?
Yes, at times they would send an email to staff to review a new policy that came out.
And you're familiar with Lexipol, right?
Yes, I am.
And is that where you would get these updates to review?
I believe it was like a portal to Lexipol. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, it was a portal.
A portal to Lexipol.
Thank you.
And so you'd get an email from someone at the department, right, saying there was an updated Lexipol policy?
At times, yes.
And sometimes you get training bulletins,
Yes.
and you'd be expected to read a training bulletin, right?
Yes.
And abide by those bulletins.
Yes.
And as of 2022, you could serve as a police officer, right?
I'm sorry?
As of 2022, you believe you could serve as a police officer, right?
Yes.
You could conduct traffic stops.
Yes.
You felt you could conduct DUI investigations.
Yes.
You felt you could conduct searches of persons.
Yes.
Felt you could conduct searches of vehicles.
Yes.
You could conduct pat downs of persons, right?
Yes.
You could conduct vehicle pat downs, right?
Correct.
And a vehicle pat down is limited for search for weapons, right?
Yes.
You felt that you could write reports, right?
Yes, sir.
You still feel that way, right?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, you're working at another agency now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where are you at?
The Huntington Park Police Department.
I'm sorry?
The Huntington Park Police Department.
And what is your position?
Police officer.
And are you in your probationary period?
Yes, I am.
And when did you start that job?
Objection relevance.
Counsel?
Well, I asked him if I'm asking about his current statings, and he says he still believes he can do these things. So just a couple of background questions on where he's at right now.
Overruled.
Yeah, when did you start that job?
About 3 weeks ago.
And do you have a field training officer?
Yes, I do.
And how long is that field training program?
Objection relevance. 352 waste of time.
I just have a couple of questions about this.
It's background, so just, I would recommend overruling the objection.
Could you ask the question again?
Sure. How long is that field training officer program?
For lateral officers, it's on a person-to-person basis, depending on how you're progressing and how they see you can handle the workload. So as of right now, I don't know how long we're going to have me do.
Okay. And what is your current assignment?
I'm assigned to patrol.
And just as when you were at Torrance, you need to abide by policy as well at Huntington Park, right?
Yes, sir.
So during your employment with the city of Torrance, you were investigated by Internal Affairs, right?
I was.
Several times, in fact.
Yes.
And the discipline here today was not the first time you were disciplined, right?
Objection big and ambiguous. Assumes facts, not evidence.
Mr. Vasquez should know if he was disciplined before, so I would hope he can answer the question.
Yeah, I would overrule the objections.
Can I be heard on this?
Of course.
Sure. I mean, as an attorney, I think we should represent the black and white facts to the commission. And what I'm afraid of is counsel is trying to stage or frame that these multiple investigations constituted something progressive, when in fact the Torrance PD slapped all of the investigations at once, and now there's some type of misrepresentation by counsel that somehow my client's been a troubled child. He was put on leave on November 25, 2023, and there were multiple investigations, but they all came together. So I think counsel is trying to paint this really broad stroke that my client is some this troubled officer when it was not the case. We understand that these multiple investigations came, but it wasn't like he was disciplined on month 1 and then on month 3 and then month 9. It all came at once. So
If I could just say, I don't think that's what was being asked. I think it was a pretty simple question on, have you received discipline prior to this? And I would like to know the answer to that.
Yes.
And you were given a written reprimand in March of 2024, right?
Could you refresh my memory?
Yeah, sure. If you want to go to the larger book there, it's Exhibit 3, page 17. Do you see that?
You said page 17, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You see section 5 there, disciplinary record?
Yes.
It says on March 12th, 2024, you were issued a written reprimand in connection with investigation P 2023-017, 2023-017 for sustained findings of failures to document the use of handcuffs or restraints, disrespectful conduct, use of profanity, and you're misplacing a traffic citation. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
And is that true?
Yes, sir. And this was discipline given to me after my administrative leave.
Right, yes, you were placed
Correct.
on, you were placed on administrative leave sometime after the personnel complaint by Lieutenant Fischer. Right?
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
And then, and that was in November of 2023?
November 29th, I got locked up.
And then on March 12th, 2024, you were given that written reprimand.
Yes, sir.
And some of the internal affairs investigations at issue in this case involved failing to document the use of handcuffs, right?
Objection vague and ambiguous.
Mr. Bent.
If the witness doesn't understand the question, he can tell us, but I don't see what's negative it is about their question. So I would
As to which case?
to be honest, I'm confused at the question again. Maybe we could start over and have the question reread or get the answer, but
Mr. Vasquez, investigation P 2023-046. Are you aware of that investigation?
Could I have the last name of the suspect referring to that case?
It was Wimberley?
Yes.
And indeed, one of the issues in that investigation was failing to document the use of handcuffs, right?
Yes.
And you used profanity in that interaction with Miss Wimberley, right?
I did.
And you've been accused of disrespectful conduct on multiple occasions, right?
Yes.
So we'll just try to take this investigation by investigation, just to hopefully keep it as clear as we can. Let's start with PD 2023-009. Are you familiar with that investigation?
I believe so.
And you were investigated for your use of force in an arrest, right?
Yes.
And you made a felony traffic stop on July 28th, 2023, right?
Yes.
Because you observed an individual who matched the description of an auto burglary suspect, right?
Yes.
And that turned out to be a Mr. Garcia, right?
Yes.
And you chose to detain him, right?
I'm sorry?
You chose to detain Mr. Garcia?
Could you elaborate on what you mean by chose to detain?
Sure. You did the traffic stop, right?
Oh, yes, sir. I observed the felony suspect matching that description, and I detained him.
Yeah. And you asked him to get out of the car.
I ordered him to get out of the car during a felony traffic, high-risk traffic stop.
And then you ultimately placed him in handcuffs, right?
I believe I assisted. No, I don't believe I was the one that put him in handcuffs, if I remember correctly.
It was another officer.
Yes, not myself.
Okay. And other officers were present at this time.
Yes, sir.
How many?
At least 5.
And did you search Mr. Garcia?
I did not conduct the search of Mr. Garcia.
Another officer conducted that search.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any issues with the search they conducted?
No.
Were you confident that Mr. Garcia didn't have any weapons?
At my point, when I went to go assist in dealing with suspect Garcia, I was on another side of the vehicle. I cleared a vehicle, and while I was doing those things, they were already with the suspect. So in my mind, I'm going to trust my partners that they're doing their part to conduct a full and complete search of him. By the time I got there and was with him, they were already back by the back door of my patrol car. So I could see that they were still dealing with him, but I would assume that they had already completed a complete search of him.
You didn't have any concerns about the search, right?
I had no reason to have any concerns with the search.
And then at some point you were ready to put him in the back of your patrol vehicle, right?
Yes.
And did you decide to do that yourself?
No.
Were you instructed to do that by your superiors?
No.
You chose to do that?
Myself and I believe it was the 2 or 3 other officers that were there dealing with with suspect Garcia due to the fact that he was being combative, attempting to turn towards us, and we believed he was trying to flee. We made the decision, hey, let's just get him in the back of the patrol vehicle to secure him. So it was a decision made among the officers by the backseat.
And you ultimately were the one who, well, let me back up. Who opened the door to your patrol vehicle?
I don't recall who opened the door. No, I don't recall.
And then you had your hands on Mr. Garcia, right? Before the door was open.
I was one of the officers that was holding Garcia.
And do you recall where your hands were?
If I can remember correctly, my left hand was along his bicep tricep area of his left arm, and my other arm was on the lower part of the back of his head, controlling his head movements because he was swaying back and forth, trying to yell at us and continuously trying to turn towards us and away from officers, or towards officers.
And so you just wanted to get him in the car and get him to the station, right?
To complete the investigation and then eventually, yes, transport him to the jail.
And when the door opened, there was another officer next to you, right?
Yes,
And there was another officer that went to the other side of the vehicle, right?
not right away.
How long did it take for them to go to the other side?
It was as soon as the door opened, suspect Garcia abruptly turned towards me, like we feared what he was doing, which is why I was trying to control him. He knocked off the body cam off of my chest, and I believe he was a felony violent suspect trying to flee. So he was right in front of me, probably within 10 inches of my face. I pushed him back where it's into the patrol car.
And you did not have another officer on the other side of the car, right?
I believe it was like a simultaneous scene. Once that officer, I believe it was Officer Wolf, saw that the suspect faced us and I had to push him into the car instead of what we originally wanted to do, was just have him sit down. That's when he went over to the driver's side passenger of the vehicle to open that door and assist him in getting him in.
And then once the door was opened, he got out of your grasp?
Yes, immediately after.
And then so you pushed him against the door of the patrol vehicle, right?
I pushed him I attempted to push him into the back seat of the patrol vehicle, but he was moving a lot.
Right. First thing you did was pushed him into the door, right?
Yes,
And then then your body-worn camera was knocked off.
no, sir, my body cam was knocked off prior to me pushing him.
Okay.
I pushed him because he knocked off my camera and faced officers.
So, gotcha. So you have control of him. As soon as he leaves your grasp, that's when he knocks off your body-worn camera.
Yes, sir. The way he turned was sure.
Please let the witness answer the question.
Sure. Sorry. So
The door was open.
the door was open, and he eluded your grasp.
Yes, he broke my
And
grasp.
at that point,
And at that point, he knocked off your body-worn camera.
Yes,
And that's when you
That's when you regained control of him,
yes,
And then
you pushed him into the open car.
yes. I pushed him towards the back seat of the patrol vehicle, but due to his movements, it ended up going into the door, and then I had to reassess again to get him into his seat.
pushed him into the door.
Pushed him into the door, and then where you pushed him toward the car,
Ended up being into
the door, and then you pushed him into the vehicle.
Yes,
And there was another officer.
And there was another officer next to you at the time.
yes, sir. There was at least two next to me.
And
And then
while the door was open.
you used both hands to
Push him on the neck.
push him on the neck, right?
When I pushed him inside of the patrol vehicle, I was not grabbing his neck.
Your hands were up.
Your hands were up by his neck and his collarbone?
No, by his jawline, sir.
Let's show exhibit 17A. Again.
So at least you would agree with.
So at least you would agree with me there, your fingers are on the sides of his neck, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, my forefingers were around his neck. As you can see, there's a gap. They're not wrapped around his neck. It was.
And from there is.
And from there is when you pushed him into the vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
And no
one trains you to push a suspect on the neck, right?
No.
No one trains you to do
No one
that.
trains you to do that at the academy?
We are not taught specifically to push alongside the jawline. However, we are told that during situations that are tense and rapidly evolving, especially dealing with violent suspects, combative suspects, felony suspects, that at times we will need to use alternative methods to gain control. In this case, I used that method because I believed he was going to escape, and we were on a very busy street. He was a felony wanted suspect. So I implemented that use of control.
But nobody trained you.
But nobody trained you to push anyone on the neck, right?
No, sir, I thought of that one myself.
And
No one at Torrance trained you to push someone on the neck, right?
No, sir.
And
You
you
could have tried to reset your grip on him, right?
I'm sorry. I could have what, sir?
You could have tried to reset your grip on him.
No, sir. This was this incident where that frame is frozen was probably half a second from the point he turned around to the point that I grabbed him. I had no time to take a pause and try and reassess my grip. It was an immediate action to gain control of the suspect.
Yeah, I didn't mean at that time in the photograph or the still photo there. What I meant was, and I should have asked a better question. When you first eluded your grasp, you had to then regain control of your hands, right?
Right.
And then you
Pushed him toward the vehicle, which ended up being into the car door.
Yes, sir.
And then you put your hands,
You
say they're not on his neck, but
your hands
are up, they're by his collarbone or up by his jawline area, right?
Yes, sir.
And from there
is when you push him into the car, right?
That's correct.
could we show
could we play
15 seconds first, 15 seconds first, 15 seconds. So you pushed him into the car, and then you pushed on his neck with one hand after that, right?
Yeah, I pushed him back.
So if we can try it, we can either go to the screen grab or we can go back to, because you see the timestamp there is 17:49:49. We can go to 17:49:30 then?
Council, at a time, I just need a restroom break at a logical time. Could we take a 5-minute? At a point.
We are back on the record.
All right, Officer Vasquez, so when we left off, we just looked at the video of your use of force with Mr. Garcia, right?
Yes.
Could we go back to that video, please, exhibit 17? Hit play, and can you stop it right after Mr. Garcia mentions choking? So.
I'm sorry, can you put the timestamp on?
Yeah, can we go back? I think it was about 17:49:40.
No, it's not. 9-second mark.
Back earlier. 9 seconds. Up on the.
17:49.
Sure. Can we play it again? So, Officer Vasquez, would you agree, at least at this point in the video, Mr. Garcia has claimed that you're choking him?
Yes.
And then if we could look at, and the timestamp on the body cam, or sorry, the in-car camera video is at 17:49:40. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Could we put up Exhibit 17C? And Officer Vasquez, you see the timestamp on the in-car camera up there at 17:49:41?
Yes.
Would you agree that this image is after Mr. Garcia has claimed that you're choking him?
Yes.
And could we put up Exhibit 17D? And then Officer Vasquez, the timestamp there, do you see that's 17:49:44?
Yes, sir.
And would you also agree that this was after Mr. Garcia claimed you were choking him?
Yes.
So after Mr. Garcia claimed you were choking him, you put your hands on his neck.
Yes.
And you did that to push him, right?
Yes.
You did that because you wanted to create distance.
Correct.
So multiple times you put your hand on his neck.
No, sir.
So you claim you only put your hand on his neck once?
I would have to watch the video but from what I remember, the time that I placed my hand on his neck was to push him away.
And when did you do that? Was that when the other officer was on the other side of the car?
It's right about this exact where the videos pop.
So you claim you didn't put your hand on his neck at any point before that?
Objection, misstates prior testimony.
Well, I'm asking him what his testimony is.
Overruled. You may answer.
I don't think I quite understand your question. If you could clarify what you mean by his neck and what you mean by that.
You know what a neck is, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Garcia has a neck?
Yes, sir.
And at least in this image, your hand is on his neck, right?
Correct.
And this was after Mr. Garcia had already claimed that you were choking him, right?
Yes.
So at least in Mr. Garcia's perception, you had choked him before this, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Do you understand it?
I was saying objection.
At this time, Mr. Garcia already claimed that you choked him.
Yes.
And at this time, your hand is on his neck.
Yes, it is.
And if we go back to 17B, And this, the timestamp is 17:49:39. See that?
Yes.
And your hand is on his neck, right?
No, sir. My hand is on his jawline, by his neck, nearby. However, I'm pushing him backwards by the jaw while I was pushing inside the car.
Right. And your thumb and the webbing of your hand is down by his neck, right?
Sir, the weapon in my hand is directly alongside his left jawline.
So you claim there 1 second before Mr. Garcia claims that you're choking him, that your hand is not on his neck?
Objection argumentative.
I would say at this freeze frame, I am not touching his neck.
So did you touch his neck at any point prior to this?
I may have, my fingers may have touched or come in contact with his neck as I was trying to control him by his jawline. So I guess, yes, at some point I may have touched his neck, yes.
And certainly your hands were near his neck when you pushed him into the car, right?
Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Garcia claimed that you choked.
That's
Been
correct.
asked and answered. I think there was already an
I
answer.
think you said yes.
There was a question, there was an answer, so we'll just proceed.
You claim that he put his foot into your groin?
Yes, sir.
And he did that after he was already in the car?
Yes, sir.
So when you initially put him into the car, he did not put his foot into your groin, right?
I don't understand. Can you rephrase your question?
Sure. When you claim that he put his foot to your groin, he was already fully inside the car, right?
Yes.
So here, before he's fully inside the car, he had not put his foot to your groin, right?
Not yet.
And he did not try to headbutt you or anything, right?
No.
And he was handcuffed at this time?
Yes, he was.
And you ultimately wrote a report about this arrest, right?
Yes, I did.
As you would write a report for any arrest, right?
That's correct.
Writing a report is an important thing, right?
Yes.
It's important if you later have to testify, right?
Yes, sir.
It's important for your supervisors to know what happened from your perspective, right?
Yes.
Go in there on Exhibit 13. And if I just direct you to generally pages 1, 2, and 3, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what is this?
This is my supplemental report for the incident.
And on page 2, the paragraph, as soon as the back door to my patrol vehicle opened, do you see that paragraph?
Yes.
And does that summarize your report from that time when the vehicle opened, the door of the vehicle opened, to when you were able to get him upright in his seat and seatbelt him?
Yes, sir.
Because one of the things you're trying to do is get him into a position where you can put his seatbelt on, right?
Correct.
So you can transport him to TPD, right?
Yes.
And in the middle there, sorry, took it down. If we could go back to, or sorry, you're looking at it in paper, sorry. Exhibit 13 there, in the middle there, do you see where it says, I believe it's 1, 2. When you see the word groin, there's a sentence that starts later in that paragraph that says, I pushed Garcia's neck backwards with my right hand to create distance between him and I so I could remove his foot from my groin and avoid injury. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And so you wrote in this report that you at least pushed his neck once, right?
Yes, sir.
And you would agree that that's direct pressure?
No, sir.
In fact, the policy of the Torrance Police Department prevents direct pressure to a person's trachea or windpipe, right?
That's correct.
And that's reflected in California law, right?
Objection costs for legal conclusion.
Just asking if he knows it's in California law.
Overruled.
I am aware of the law regarding that.
And if you could go to Exhibit 4, page 5 there. And do you see policy 300.3.7?
Yes, sir.
And do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And this is policy 300 in the Torrance Police Department policy manual, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're required to follow this, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's always been the policy ever since you were at Torrance, right?
Are you referring to the use of force policy?
Yeah, 300.3.7 was always there, right?
The restrictions of the chokehold, yes, I believe so.
Right. It didn't change after, say, December of 2021, right?
Objection lacks foundation.
To the extent the witness knows, he can answer. If he doesn't, he can tell us. So I don't remove the objection.
Overruled, please answer.
Could you rephrase the question?
Sure. You've been here the whole time during this case. 300.3.7, that policy was in place when you were hired at the Torrance Police Department, right?
At least from the time when I was a police officer, yes.
Okay. So it wasn't something that was new as of the date there. You see 2023-5/30 on the bottom there on the footer.
I don't feel comfortable speaking on the dates that are listed down there and what modifications are made to this by the department and through Lexipol. So I would just say I was aware of the restrictions on the use of chokehold.
Okay, so it always been chokehold had always been restricted use of force. It's in your time at Torrance.
Yes, sir. I was taught that in the academy.
Okay. And if you could go to Exhibit 14 real quick. And this email notes that it looks like you acknowledged receiving policy 300 twice. Is that right?
That's what it reflects here on the paper, sir.
And do you not deny reviewing policy 300 at that time?
I don't recall when this policy was quote unquote reviewed by me.
But you would agree that if when a policy is updated, you get an email telling you to go review it in Lexipol, right?
Usually, sir, yes. I don't remember receiving any policy update regarding this 300.
We have Exhibit 31 I'd like to add.
I do actually. I mean, I thought that when we commence a hearing, we're confined to what the decision makers relied upon in rendering the decision. I thought the policies that we have in place were the ones that the city relied on in terminating my client. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it until this afternoon. Council emailed the commission. I actually did not get a chance to review this because I was driving here in traffic. So I think there has to be some showing made by somebody from the police department to say that we use this policy to fire Julian Vazquez as opposed to the other policy. I don't know.
Sure, that's not the point. It's just to show that there was testimony from the internal affairs investigator that they asked when he had acknowledged this policy. And they noted that he did look at one that was issued on December 30th of 2021. And that's what this is.
Well, then I think respectfully, council should call the proper witness because I don't know what purpose this will be for. If it's to rehabilitate an impeached witness, then that impeached witness should come and testify. But we have now, I don't know what this is. I just literally, I have not had the opportunity to review it. And what I have in terminating Julian Vazquez was provided to me in the notice of termination. So I don't know.
So are you questioning the authenticity of this document? I'm asking.
I'm questioning the purpose of this document to such that if there's a document that the police department relied upon, then it should be confined to what the termination papers and the notice of termination, the exhibits that are attached to it. I don't think the police department get to just give me a bunch of policies that an internal affairs investigator has testified to through this witness. I don't know what the purpose is for.
Purpose is merely just to show that the policy is the same as the one that was in effect as of July of 2023, as the one he acknowledged receiving or reviewing in December 30th of 2021.
But the issue is they didn't use this policy to fire my client. And now we have another set of policies that the PD didn't use. So what would be the purpose? My client says, oh yeah, I know about this, but they use the wrong policy then to fire Julian Vazquez. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's a proper use of this policy. I mean, it's a Skelly violation really is what it is, because I don't have the materials that the police department relied upon.
I see the line of questioning and I understand the reason for the document. I don't think it's a scaling violation. So I would recommend overruling that objection. And to the extent, if you're questioning authenticity, then we can address that, but other than that.
I'm questioning a legal objection as to foundation and personal knowledge. And also this was not provided to us before my client was terminated. I mean, I understand your position that it's not a Skelly violation, but under Skelly, we're entitled to all documents that the decision makers relied upon. We don't have it. This was produced to us at 4 p.m. today.
I don't think counsel's making an argument that this is the document and the policy that was relied on. He's using it for a specific purpose with respect to an answer that the client
what purpose would this come in for then? I don't understand how my client's answer should change the admission of an exhibit of policy that was not produced to us as the basis of his termination.
But it wasn't.
I'm not going to argue back and forth. I understand the rationale for his request. The objections that are being made, my recommendation would be overruled.
It's overruled.
Officer Vasquez, can you look at,
Counsel, let the commission get a copy.
And can I just make a record of this, of you overruling my objection? So what we have in exhibit, can I do that, Mr. Ben? All right. So as this is being passed out, can I just inspect it and just make a record of it? And so I'm just going to take like 35 seconds and make a record of this, if I may. I have not been able to review what this document is under Exhibit 31. It was given to me about 3 minutes ago by counsel and emailed to me via email earlier this afternoon. My objection is based on very specific issue, which is when my client got fired on April 8th, 2025, and before that we had a notice of intent. We were provided with a package of everything that the police department relied upon. Before you is not anything that the police department relied on. Counsel is saying that somehow, some way, they want to introduce this policy, which dates December 30th, 2021, to backdate. That's what they're doing, to backdate and backdoor a policy that was not given to us. This is not a fair hearing. If that's the way it goes, then we're handcuffed, because the entire due process contemplates on fairness. We should be playing with equal playing field. This is not equal playing field. If the police department thought this was the policy that Julian Vazquez violated, then what they should have done is attach this policy. What they've done now is they got caught by my cross-examination of Lieutenant Vasquez, and what they have done respectfully to the police department and the council is now replacing a policy with an earlier date. And so I understand that Mr. Ben is recommending overruling the objection, but this is not a fair playing ground. We're usurped with every opportunity that the police department has in its possession. And they've had this all along, but they're giving us it tonight. And I think that is an unfair tactic by the police department, an attempt to cure something that they should not have cured, because in the package itself, this policy was dated after my client was fired. So now they're trying to replace a policy that nobody relied upon. So thank you for allowing me to make that record.
Now I have to make a response to the many misrepresentations there. There is no representation that this was the policy that was in effect when he was fired. There's just merely to show, as testimony you all heard from Sergeant Vasquez or Lieutenant Vasquez, that they looked to find when Officer Vasquez looked and reviewed at policy 300, and there was one that was dated 12/30/21. And just to show that the policy is the exact same in 300.3.7, because there was argument anyway, or questioning about whether or not that was the policy in effect at the time. That's the purpose of it.
Then respectfully, they should have Lieutenant Vasquez here and somebody explaining why in Exhibit 4 you have a policy dated May 30th, 2023. Why that was given as part of termination of my client's case. Why not a policy dated in 2021? That's backdooring. That is, you got caught with something. There's no misrepresentation. I misrepresented. Look at the exhibit. Exhibit 4 has a date of May 30th, 2023. What part did I misrepresent?
Mr. Officer Vasquez committed the alleged misconduct on July 28th, 2023, when that policy was in effect. Regardless of whether he reviewed it or saw it, he has admitted that he's required to follow policies.
I made my record.
Thank you. Okay, we can proceed.
So Officer Vasquez, if you could look at 31-5 there,
Sorry, 31.
-5, page 5. And you see policy 300.3.7 there?
Yes.
And that's the policy that's always been in effect since you were employed at Torrance, right?
As shown by the date below.
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
As shown by the date below.
And you're responsible for complying with any policies even if you've not read an update, right?
Yes.
Because in fact, the department sends you a notification in Lexipol or that there's an updated policy to review in Lexipol, right?
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Sure. You get an email notifying you that there's an updated policy in Lexipol, right?
We're supposed to receive an email.
And then you're supposed to review them, right?
Correct.
All right, now I want to switch gears to what's PD 2023-010. Sure, PD 2023-010.
That is an electronic only exhibit.
Oh.
I was gonna say, I'm,
No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to an exhibit. I'm just for Mr. Vasquez's information. Do you recall that internal affairs investigation that you were a subject of, Mr. Vasquez?
Yes, sir. Could I get the last name of the suspect?
Sure. So let's start with the suspect, Mr. Yusuf.
Yes, sir.
You remember him?
Yes, I do.
And in February of 3rd of 2022, you responded to a single vehicle accident,
Yes,
and that was involving Mr. Yusuf, right?
correct.
And he crashed into a light pole,
Yes, he did.
and upon contacting the driver, or Mr. Yusuf, you believed he was intoxicated, right?
Yes,
He admitted that he had alcoholic drinks before he was driving?
yes, I believe so.
And you found alcoholic beverage containers in his car, right?
Yes, I did.
And they were empty, right?
From my recollection, yeah, I believe so, sir.
And when you contacted him, he refused to submit to any standard field sobriety tests, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're familiar with a PAS test or PAS?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is that?
It's a breathalyzer test, sir, to check for alcohol content.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a question.
I'm sorry, it's a breathalyzer test to check for alcohol content.
And he refused to do that test, right?
Yes, I believe so.
At least initially.
Right.
And then, so you placed him under arrest on suspicion of DUI, right?
Yes, I did.
And I believe this was your first DUI investigation with the city of Torrance, right?
Yes, it was.
And Officer McGee was your field training officer?
Yes, he was.
And was he your field training officer always, or just on that particular occasion?
Just for that particular occasion, which would have been month 2, if I'm correct.
And Officer McGee gave Mr. Yusuf what's known as a trombetta advisement, right?
Yes, sir.
And then after that advisement, you communicated with Mr. Yusuf, right?
I did speak with him, yes, sir.
And you told him that he could not refuse to submit to a test, right?
I believe that's what I told him.
That when you get a driver's license with the DMV, that you agree that you will submit to a test when there's reasonable suspicion, right?
Yes.
And then you told him that he would never have a license again if he refused the test, right?
I believe I did say something along those lines, yeah.
And then a few minutes later, Mr. Yusuf got into a patrol vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
And you contacted him again, right?
Yes.
And you told him that by submitting to the test, he would not get his license suspended, right?
I believe so.
And then you took him to the station, right?
Yes, we did.
You booked him?
We began the booking process.
And Officer McGee attempted to conduct a breathalyzer, right?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, he had agreed to the PAT steps, right?
Yes, sir.
But that breathalyzer did not work, right?
That is correct.
And at that point, Mr. Yusuf consented to a blood test, right?
Yes, sir.
You transported Mr. Yusuf to the hospital, right?
Yes.
And then he submitted to a blood test,
Yes.
and then he was eventually released, right?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point, you had to testify in court about your arrest, right?
Correct.
And do you recall what the purpose of your testimony was?
I don't recall the exact reason for the testimony. I believe it was a motion to suppress.
And you testified at a hearing on that. You testified at a hearing in this case, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you testified that you were trained on investigating DUI as well in the academy, right?
Yes.
You took a training regarding a DUI block, right?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sure. You took a training regarding DUI block, right?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And you were also trained in field sobriety testing, right?
Yes, sir.
And in chemical testing,
Yes.
and then providing an admonishment, right?
Yes.
And you were also trained while at the city of Torrance, right?
I was on training in the city of Torrance, yes, sir.
And for DUIs as well, right?
I don't recall the days or times of any kind of specific DUI training at the station.
But there was some.
I don't recall, sir.
And you're aware of the trombetta advisement or admonishment, right?
Yes, sir, I'm aware of it.
And at that time with Mr. Yusuf, you were not aware of the admonishment?
During the time of the contacting with Mr. Yusuf, I had just made a mistake during that whole investigation.
And you made a mistake in advising him about the consequences of refusing the test?
Right, right.
In fact, that if he submitted to a test and it showed a blood alcohol level of more than 0.08, that there would be license consequences, right?
Correct.
And you testified about that during the hearing?
In court?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And you were under oath, of course,
Yes, I was.
and you testified you were trained not to misrepresent the law to members of the public, right?
Yes.
And you testified that you admit that an error was made.
Yes, I did.
You testified that you knew there would be consequences if he had an alcohol level of more than 0.08, right?
Consequences for Mr. Youssef, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
And despite that, you told Mr. Youssef that he wouldn't get his license suspended, right?
I believe I said something to that effect.
And you told Mr. Youssef that he would have to pay around $15,000 in fines, right?
I believe I did say that.
And you just made up that number, right?
Yes, sir. During the time I wouldn't say just made up. I think I was trying to think about what I remembered from my training, and just based on the fact I was a trainee and had a lot on my mind, different incidents, that's the number that came to mind and that I provided to him.
And you testified to that at the hearing in court, and you admitted that it was without any basis in knowledge or law, right?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Because you were trying to persuade him to take a breath or blood test, right?
Yes.
You also testified that Officer McGee was out of ear range, or earshot, I guess, for most of your interview with Mr. Youssef, right?
Yes, he was.
And you testified that you handled the arrest yourself with minimal assistance from Officer McGee, right?
I believe so.
And then you prepared a report for this arrest, right?
Yes, I did.
And in your report, you didn't put anything in there about Mr. Youssef's initial refusal, right?
I don't recall.
We could go into Exhibit 8. It's a case file ending 4216, and there's one file in there.
And again, Mr. Brother, that's a digital only exhibit.
Yes.
You have a baseline number?
Yes, page 4. Mm-hmm. And if we could go to page 5 as well. Officer Vasquez, do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And that's your report from the arrest of Mr. Youssef, right?
Yes, sir.
And we go back up to page 4. There's a number of paragraphs beginning with I asked Youssef, I asked Youssef. Do you see those as well? Do you see those?
Yes.
And having read your report, does that refresh your recollection of, having read your report, does that refresh your recollection about not putting anything in there about Mr. Youssef's refusal?
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing in there about your comments trying to convince him to submit to a test, right?
Correct.
And there was nothing in your report about you being unsure about any policy or anything like that, right?
Yes.
All right, we can take that. And then within PD 2023-010, there was another arrest that you made of a Mr. Hernandez. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
That was in September of 2022. You conducted a traffic stop. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And there was a vehicle with a dark window tint and no front license plate, right?
Correct.
And at that time, you were on patrol with Officer Clark, right?
Yes, I was.
And you conducted a traffic stop based on the license plate and the window, the lack of a front license plate and the window tint, right?
Yes.
And then after you conducted the traffic stop, you noticed the suspect had a knife with brass knuckles, right?
Yes.
And then you submitted the case to charge the suspect with the crime, right?
Yes, sir. He was arrested and charged.
And you created an arrest report, right?
Yes.
And in your arrest report, you wrote that you observed the dark window tint and made a U-turn, or that you and Officer Clark made a U-turn, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you were in the passenger seat, right?
Yes.
And Officer Clark was driving?
Yes, sir.
And before making the U-turn to conduct the traffic stop, you wrote in your report that you observed the dark window tint, right?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sure. Prior to making the U-turn and conducting the traffic stop, you wrote in your report that you saw the dark window tint, right?
Yes, sir. We had seen the vehicle in the neighborhood already prior to us ever making that U-turn or getting behind the car.
Right. So that's what happened, but in your report, you didn't include that detail, right?
Correct.
Because before the U-turn was made to conduct the traffic stop, the driver's side window was down, right?
Yes, it was.
And you could see into the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And you ended up testifying in court about this traffic stop, right?
Yes, I did.
And, testifying in court is an important thing for a police officer to do, right?
Yes.
It's important to be accurate, right?
Yes.
You want justice to be served, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't want criminal charges to be impacted because of your testimony, right?
Correct.
You don't want evidence to be suppressed.
Correct.
And then you testified during that hearing that when you passed the vehicle that you could see the window tint, right?
Yes.
And then on cross-examination, you were showed the video from the car, right?
Yes, I was.
And in fact, it showed that the window was down.
Yes, sir.
So you had to admit that you were wrong.
Yes, I did.
And in fact, you just forgot that you forgot to mention that you passed the vehicle earlier, right?
Yes, I did.
You failed to document anything in your report about that earlier, right?
Yes, sir.
And that makes it harder to prepare for your testimony, right?
Yes, sir.
And within that PD 2023-010, there was an individual, Mr. Maldonado, if you recall him?
Yes, I do.
And you pulled him over for a vehicle infraction, right?
Numerous vehicle infractions, sir.
One of those was not having a front license plate
Yes.
and an illegal window tint.
Yes.
Any other vehicle infractions that you remember?
Unsafe lane changes, sir.
And did that occur before you tried to pull him over?
Yes.
At the time, you didn't suspect him, didn't think he was a suspect in an armed robbery or anything like that, right?
Are you asking me specifically of an armed robbery?
Sure.
From when I first saw the vehicle? No.
You didn't, at the time, you didn't suspect him of any violent crime, right?
I suspected that criminal activity was afoot.
You didn't know what, though.
Correct.
You were frustrated, you didn't pull over right away.
I wouldn't say frustrated.
You asked him why he kept driving away, right?
Yes, something along those lines.
Because he drove into the mall, right?
He did drive into the Delano Mall.
And you asked him for his driver's license, right?
Yes, I did.
And he provided that to you.
Yes.
And then when you went to the back of the car, you saw a bullet hole, right?
Yes,
And then you asked him about it, right?
I did.
And he reported that his car was shot at.
Yes,
He did not report that he fired any shots, right?
he did not.
And then at one point, you commented on your body camera, that was picked up by your body camera anyway, that he was reaching around, right?
Yes,
And then you told him to put his hands on the steering wheel, right?
I did.
And he did that, right?
Yes,
And later you told him to put his phone in the car, right?
are you when I ordered him out of the vehicle?
Yeah.
I believe so.
And he did that, right?
Yes,
And you told him to leave his wallet in the car?
I don't remember.
Did you deny it, telling him to leave his wallet in the car?
I'm sorry.
Did you deny it?
I don't remember.
Certainly if the video showed you telling him to put his wallet in the car, you would agree.
Well, of course.
And then you asked him to get out of the car, right?
I did.
And he got out of the car.
Yes,
And there was another unit sent to assist you, right?
yes,
So you placed him in handcuffs,
yes, we did.
and then you asked him to sit down on a curb, right?
Yes,
And then you asked for consent to search his vehicle, right?
correct.
And you said no.
Right, he declined.
And then after that, you conducted a vehicle pat-down, right?
Yes, I did.
And that was with another officer.
Yes,
And you told that other officer that you told him 3 times not to reach around, right?
I believe I said something to that effect.
But in fact, it was just one time, right?
I believe I only verbalized it to my body cam one time, sir. However, while I was watching him, he was continuously moving around.
And then but you told the other officer that you told Mr. Maldonado 3 times not to reach around, right?
I believe I did.
And then you sat him down on the curb, right?
Sat who down on the curb, sir?
Mr. Maldonado.
He was already seated on the curb, sir.
And he was handcuffed,
He was.
and there was another officer there assisting you?
Yes.
More than one.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the other officers was watching him while he was handcuffed and sitting on the curb, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Maldonado did not try to flee, right?
No.
He didn't try to get back to his vehicle?
No, sir.
And then you found a gun.
I did.
You found other contraband.
Yes, sir.
And you drafted a report.
Yes, sir.
And you submitted the case for charges, right?
Yes, sir.
And then ultimately the deputy city declined to move forward with those charges, right?
Yes.
Because you did not justify your vehicle pat-down search, right?
Objection calls for speculation, lacks foundation as to why the city attorney rejected the case.
Sustain that.
Sustained.
I'm about to get into another area here, so now's a good time to break for the session.
How long do you anticipate it taking?
Like another 30 minutes.
And up to my commissioners.
Sorry, give me one moment, Chair. Yes, the witness has read the admonishments.
Other witnesses are still waiting to testify. Please do not discuss your testimony or